Hey everybody, Nick, you are here, joined alongside by Yosef Nasser. And one of these weekends is really the best time in sports. We have the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs, Masters just finished, NFL draft coming up. There's a lot of talk, and we're going to get right into it, talking some NBA playoffs right now. And there are a couple series that I think are really the most interesting on paper. Before the series, it was Thunder and Blazers, and now that is 2-0. And the other one that I was really intrigued in was, I know you were as well, was Sixers-Nets.
Yep.
And obviously that is off to a great start, 1-1. Brooklyn was able to steal game one, and that's obviously what you want to do as the lower seed, just get one game. But just your overall thoughts of that series and how you thought, being a Sixers fan, watching that game one and then the bounce back in game two.
Well, game one was a game where, the Nets did exactly what they had to do. They had to steal the series. There was a lot of uncertainty surrounding Joel Embiid, his health. I think the fact that game two, they really were able to lay the smackdown on the Nets, so to speak, and really establish their dominance. They did some things. They instead of having Jonathan Simmons game one, they used James Ennis as kind of that guy, that off-the-bench wing. They used Jimmy Butler as the backup point guard. He had the big scoring outburst in game one. Game two, he was more of a distributor, 7.7 assists. It really all comes down to Joel Embiid. I really like the factors in game two that really impressed me was Ben Simmons, first of all. Him being able to take that step, making plays in transition, so long defensively, and such a force being able to get in the paint and find his shooters. Joel Embiid was a little bit healthier, able to make more of an impact. That third quarter was really when, because it was neck and neck into the half, that third quarter is really when the Sixers were able to make their run, and it was Simmons and Embiid who were able to kind of catalyze that. Boban Marjanovic off the bench, he's got this at the foul line jumper where, he looks off different people, faking dribble handoffs, and the crowd, Derek and I were talking about this, just urging him to shoot it, and he is money from mid-range. So being able to get that production off of the bench for the Sixers, so you can rest Embiid. I think this team is coming along. I think I expect the Sixers to win in 6, maybe 5 if they can handle business on the road, but slightly disappointed, but now more encouraged from what I've seen from the Sixers.
So what do you think is the biggest key for them winning this in 6? So we saw game one, maybe it was a struggle to guard D'Angelo Russell. That can pose some problems for the Sixers. They don't really have a great starting dominant defensive guard.
Yep.
I mean, Ben Simmons, Jimmy Butler, they're more taller. They guard wings a little bit better than they do those smaller point guards. What do you think is going to be the biggest key? Is it maybe guarding a guy like D'Angelo Russell? Is it Jimmy Butler being that third guy? You saw the scoring outburst, because you know what you're going to get from Simmons and Embiid pretty much if they are going to be healthy.
I think it's consistency from Ben Simmons. You saw game one, 9 points, like a very poor plus-minus that first game. Negative 20 or minus 21. So it's just using your size to overwhelm opponents, being able to execute in late game situations, and not get destroyed by opposing guards. This has been a problem for the Sixers team all year.
Yep.
How to handle the D'Angelo Russells, the Kemba Walkers, the Kyrie Irvings. You're going to have those struggles against opposing point guards. How do you kind of contain them? Even in the win against the Brooklyn Nets in game 2, they allowed a lot of open three-pointers that the Nets were able to hit, but over the course of that third quarter, they were able to use their size, their power, getting to the rim to just overwhelm the Nets. And, you're not going to be able to do that against every team, but just get out of this series as quickly as you can, whether it's a game 5, whether it's a game 6, and then focus on your next opponent, and I think you'll be in a good spot. It's probably going to be the Raptors, that 2-7 matchup. If the Raptors are able to defeat the Magic, it's probably going to be a matchup against those guys. It's going to be an intriguing matchup, but get out of this series as best you can, and look forward to that next series and see what happens.
Yeah, so we'll move over to the Western Conference now. We have, like we said earlier, 2-0. The Blazers are up. Certainly will be interesting to see how they play in Oklahoma City. The Nuggets, bounce back and tied that series at 1 last night in Denver. But one that we really want to talk about is, of course, the 31-point comeback from the Los Angeles Clippers. It was just a really fun game to watch. They're a really fun team to watch. Really fun. It's really exciting to watch Patrick Beverley, Montrezl Harrell. Those guys really just compete. It's different than what you're used to day in and night out in the NBA. So I would just love to get your thoughts on, I think we know neither of us are going to say that the Warriors are in trouble this series. It was a fun game. They're a tough opponent. But the injury to DeMarcus Cousins, I think that is significant in further series down the road. He's going to be out for the season, and then you throw in this 31-point collapse they had. What do you think the mindset is for the Warriors going on to the rest of this series, and how much trouble do you think they could be in moving forward?
Well, next round they're going to face the Houston Rockets. I think the Rockets and the Warriors are the two best teams in the West, and just the way seeding worked out, it's going to turn out that we're going to get that game in the Western Conference semifinals. In terms of this game, it's frustrating. I mean, it's a great story for the Clippers. These are guys that, when they made that they traded away Tobias Harris. I don't know about you, but I thought, okay,
yep.
The Lakers are going to climb into that playoff spot, maybe the Sacramento Kings. But they were able to hold on, and it's just when you're a team like the Clippers, having lost stars like Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, you have to win on the margins to get back into contention. So that means getting guys like Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell, Patrick Beverley back in the Chris Paul trade. That means being able to, in addition to getting the 2021 Miami pick and the Tobias Harris trade, get a guy like Landry Shamet who makes the biggest shot in the game to win over the Warriors. So the Clippers are a great story right now, and they're going to have an opportunity to add pieces this offseason with 2 max cap slots. In terms of whether or not they can take out the Warriors or make this tougher on the Warriors, I think that you would hope that this is a wake-up call for the Warriors. With DeMarcus Cousins, having that big guy to kind of keep a team like Houston honest from playing PJ Tucker at the center position, for instance, you don't have that versatility to do those kinds of things. This Warriors team, this Warriors season is all going to come down to how they bind together when their backs are against the wall, when they have that adversity. They were down 3-2 against the Rockets last season. They were able to come back and win in 7. When the chips are on the table and you hit that first bit of adversity against a finals contender like the Rockets have the potential to be, how do you bind together when you've got the noise of Durant potentially leaving the offseason? I know we've both seen the 60 Minutes clip with Durant. We were talking about the fact that Durant's expression during that looked like a guy. His body language has just been like a guy whose head is elsewhere. And can he just, he's talked about his messaging has been, let's focus on basketball. I wish the media would just talk about basketball. Well, now's the time to do that. So if the Warriors have the best talent even without DeMarcus Cousins. If they can somehow bind together for these next 2-3 months on a run to the championship, I think they'll be in a good spot. If not, and that adversity hits and people start looking to the side of them, it's like, oh, is this guy really on? Is this guy really on? Then who knows? But it all comes down to that Warriors-Rockets game.
Yeah, so I'm gonna put you on a bit of a spot here to end this segment. I'll go on as well, and just gonna start off here with you right now with all the things swirling: the Cousins injury, the 60 Minutes video with Durant and Thompson, the 31-point loss. Right now, are you taking the Warriors or the field for the NBA championship?
I mean, you could give me the Rockets in the field, and I think I would take the Rockets. And it sounds, whether you want to say rash, hot takey, I just feel like James Harden, nobody can stay in front of this guy. And finally, they had injuries with Clint Capella earlier in the season. Chris Paul was out, but I think they recognized that this might be a moment for them. James Harden, now that LeBron's no longer the best player in the league, you've got James Harden, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and then Durant, Steph Curry. Those guys are all in the mix for best player in the league. And I think James Harden, it's up to him to put that stamp on this season and say, hey, you know what? I see you've got Durant, I see you've got Clay, I see you've got Steph, but I'm the best guy in this league. No one can stay in front of me. I've got the guys around me to get the job done, and it's on him to do that. I would take the Rockets, and I think the Bucks make it out of the East for the two MVP favorites will face off in the finals. That's my prediction.
I like that. I mean, I would definitely take the field as well.
Okay.
And then just some quick rapid fire here just for the games tonight. We'll get some quick picks. I know we both like Boston advancing out of that series.
Definitely.
But any chance Indiana ties this series up in Boston tonight? That's the first game, 7 o'clock.
I don't see it. That game was a rock fight, game 1. I don't think without Oladipo, they've had it's a nice story. Bogdanovich, with what he's done, bumping his scoring up to the 18 points a game range. Miles Turner's a really good defensive player, but I just think Boston has too much firepower.
And I think we'll both take the Bucks in the next game as long as Blake Griffin is injured. Right there, big Blake Griffin guy over there, but he's out. It's going to be tough for the Pistons without him. It's going to be 2-0 Milwaukee. And then this is a game, I know you're big on the Rockets. I'm big on the Rockets too. I think they'll win this series, but I think Utah's going to get this game tonight tied up. That's just the type of team they are. They're a grind team, and they know they can't go down 0-2 and then come back potentially against the Rockets. So I think they really will fight, try to get this game. But I still think the Rockets will win the series overall. Who do you got tonight? Rockets, Utah.
I hear you. I think Rockets take care of business in this one. If the Utah Jazz are going to steal a game, it's going to be at home. We know their home crowd is a very menacing crowd, and I think they'll get a game there. I just think Harden is just on another level right now. What they're doing to Donovan Mitchell, unable to really get going. Rudy Gobert, it's a different game in the postseason. So I think that I expect to see the Rockets win this one. Maybe the Jazz get one at home at their place.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for NBA coverage here at DMVSTREAM.com. Make sure to check us out next week as we'll be breaking down even more of these games and series, especially the ones that end up going 7 games. So we will be really excited to talk about it next week as well. Hope you can join us right here on DMV Stream.
This content is brought to you by Dental Associates. For more than 39 years, Dr. Stephen Price has been practicing dentistry in Northern Virginia. A member of the American Dental Association, the Northern Virginia Dental Society, and the Virginia Dental Society, Price is considered an expert in Invisalign and continues to be an award-winning innovator in the industry.